let's talk Darnold, because you know our business again. It's not enough for us to be hyping up Lions and Vikings and talking about how great the Viking season is now and what it can be right now for the next month and a half. We can't leave well enough alone. We talked about it on this program last week. There was even real estate on game day morning on NFL Network Sunday morning that we spent on what do the Vikings do with Sam Darnold moving forward? What does it mean with J.J. McCarthy coming off of a knee injury? He's just 21 years old. What do you think the Vikings are thinking right now with this remarkable season in front of them?
So I think this is interesting, because I do think they think very highly of him. Like one of the things, like in talking with Kevin O'Connell over the last couple of months about this, when I've had a chance to talk with him about it, that he's emphasized is like people need to stop looking at Sam Darnold as if the other shoe is about to drop, and people need to stop looking at him and letting their feelings on him from the Jets and Panthers weigh them down, and just recognize that this is a really good player who is talented enough to once go third overall, and maybe was a victim of his circumstances when he was younger. So they view him as, a viable option going forward. Now, the question is, how do you do that? And I think, there's an example from 20 years ago that I think is probably the best one out there to compare to this one, which is like, you remember the Chargers, like, you broadcast that draft. That would have been one of your first drafts, I think, the Eli Manning draft. And so the Chargers wind up, they're not over the moon with Drew Brees. So they trade out of the first pick after Eli refuses to play for them and trade down, and they go and take Phillip Rivers there with the thought that Phillip Rivers is going to beat Drew Brees out. Well, Drew Brees does not lose the quarterback competition to Rivers that summer. Brees beats him out. And then Brees plays so well, wins 12 games, that they franchise him after the year and go into 2005 with Brees as the quarterback and Rivers as the backup. Now, obviously, that all took care of itself naturally when Drew got hurt at the end of that year. Both guys wound up having very bright futures from there forward, of course. But it's an example of one way you could handle it if you were the Vikings, where you look at it and you say, we owe it to the guys on this roster, right? Like if Harrison Smith's going to be back next year, if with Justin Jefferson obviously will be there. Guys who've given so much to this place.
Hawkinson, we owe it to guy gave his knee, right? All that stuff. I hear what you're saying.
We owe it to these guys to give them the shot to be at our very best at the quarterback position, and that means bringing both guys back, and that means having both Sam Darnold and J.J. McCarthy back, and that's a good problem to have. Look, they thought the world of JJ. JJ had a great offseason, did awesome in the spring and summer, looked great in that preseason game. I think it was against the Raiders? I think, like, whoever it was they played, looked great in that first preseason game. Unfortunately, he gets hurt. The downside of that is like that they just haven't gotten to see the development over the last 4 or 5 months. So as much as they like JJ, with a team that's ready to win right now, do you roll the dice and say, like, JJ is going to be fine and JJ is going to be ready to go? And we've done a great job the last 3 years managing that position under Kevin O'Connell, and we can go forward and feel confident with JJ McCarthy. And then you have the advantage of being able to build more aggressively because you're all of a sudden in that window with a quarterback on a rookie contract. Or do you say, again, we owe it to the Harrison Smiths, to the Justin Jeffersons, to the Aaron Jones, to these guys on our roster that are older and chasing a championship, to give ourselves the insurance of, hey, if JJ has a setback with his injury, or JJ has some bumps in his development, like, we have this other piece here. It's a really interesting question to kind of dive into, but I think it's certainly a champagne problem. If you look at coming out of like a Kirk Cousins situation where the guy was your quarterback for the last 6 years and played as well as Kirk did, I don't know that you could come out of it much cleaner than the Vikings have come out of it, with two very viable answers for 2025.
Albert Breer here on the Rich Eisen Show from Sports Illustrated. Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku Channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.